I make it big. I know how to play the game. I buy real estate, hotels, fancy cars, even railroads.
Monopoly is a multiplayer economic-themed board game. The board game was released to the public in 1935, and to this very day, the board game is still alive and healthy. So, how did it become so popular? Let's find out. Early history. The history of Monopoly can be traced back to 1903, when American anti-monopolist Lizzie Magie created a game called the Landlord's Game that she hoped would explain the single tax theory of Henry George as laid out in his book, Progress and Poverty. It was intended as an educational tool to illustrate the negative aspects of concentrating land in private monopolies. She took out a patent in 1904. Her game was self-published beginning in 1906. Magie created two sets of rules. An anti-monopolist set in which all were rewarded when wealth was curated, and a monopolist set in which the goal was to curate monopolies and crush opponents. Several variant board games based on her concept were developed from 1906 through the 1930s. They involved both the process of buying land for its development and the sale of any undeveloped property. Cardboard houses were added and rents increased as they were added to a property. Magie patented the game again in 1923. According to an advertisement placed, the Christian Science Monitor, Charles Todd of Philadelphia, recalled the day in 1932 when his childhood friend Esther Jones and her husband Charles Darrow came to his house for dinner. After the meal, Todd's introduced Darrow to the Landlord's Game, which they played several times. The game was entirely new to Darrow, and he asked the Todds for a written set of rules. After that night, Darrow went on to utilize it to distribute the game himself as Monopoly. The Parker brothers bought the game's copyrights from Darrow. When the company learned Darrow was not the sole inventor of the game, it bought the rights to Magie's patent for $500. Parker Brothers began marketing the game on November 5, 1935. Cartoonist F.O. Alexander contributed the design. U.S. patent number US 2026082A was issued to Charles Darrow on December 31st, 1935 for the game board design and was assigned to Parker Brothers Incorporated. The original version of the game in this format was based on the streets of Atlantic City, New Jersey, 1936 to 1970. Parker Brothers began licensing the game for sale outside the United States in 1936. In 1941, the British Secret Intelligence Service had John Waddington Limited, the licensed manufacturer of the game in the United Kingdom, create a special edition for the World War II prisoners of war held by the Nazis. Hidden inside these games were maps, compasses, real money, and other objects useful for escaping. They were distributed to prisoners by fake charity organizations curated by the British Secret Service, 1970s to 1980s. Economics professor Ralph Anspach published Anti-Monopoly in 1973 and was sued for trademark infringement by Parker Brothers in 1974. The case went to trial in 1976. Anspach won on appeals in 1979 as the Ninth Circuit Court determined that the trademark monopoly was generic and therefore unenforceable. The United States Supreme Court declined to hear the case, allowing the appellate court ruling to stand. The decision was overturned by the passage of Public Law 98620 in 1984. With that law in place, Parker Brothers and its parent company Hasbro continued to hold valid trademarks for the game Monopoly. However, Anti-Monopoly was exempted from the law, and Anspach later reached a settlement with Hasbro and markets his game under license from them. Hasbro ownership. Hasbro acquired Parker Bros. And thus Monopoly in 1991. Before the Hasbro acquisition, Parker Bros. Acted as a publisher, issuing only two versions at a time, a regular and deluxe. Hasbro moved to curate and license many other versions of Monopoly and sought public input in varying the game. A new wave of licensed products began in 1994 when Hasbro granted a license to USAopoly to begin publishing a San Diego edition of Monopoly, which has since been followed by more than 100 more licensees, including Winning Moves Games since 1995 and Winning Solutions Incorporated since 2000 in the United States. The company held a national tournament on a chartered train going from Chicago to Atlantic City in 2003. Also that year, Hasbro sued the maker of Ghettopoly and won. In February 2005, the company sued Rad Games over their super add-on accessory board game that fit in the center of the board. The judge initially issued an injunction on February 25, 2005 to halt production and sales before ruling in Rad Games' favor in April 2005. The speed die was added to all regular Monopoly sets in 2008. After polling their Facebook followers, Hasbro Gaming took the top house rules and added them to a house rule edition released in the fall of 2014 and added them as an optional rules in 2015. In January 2017, Hasbro invited internet users to vote on a new set of game pieces, with this new regular edition to be issued in March 2017. On May 1st, 2018, the Monopoly Mansion Hotel agreement was announced by Hasbro's managing director for Southeast Asia, Jenny Chu Ying, with M101 Holdings SPN BHD. M101 has a 5-star, 225-room hotel, then under construction located the M101 Bukit Bintang in Kuala Lumpur, and with a 1920s Gatsby feel. M101's Sorcrio Group would manage the hotel when it opened in 2019. Hasbro announced in March 2021 that it planned to update the community chest cards with ones that would be more socially aware, inviting fans of the game to vote on the new versions. In April 2022, Hasbro announced another poll. This vote would see the reintroduction of the one previously retired token in exchange for an existing token. The result would see the symbol return and the T X-ray phased out by fall 2022. And there's the history of Monopoly. How did it become so popular? Well, with I think all the variations and versions of the game that they have released over the years, I think that's how they became very popular. And I know that Monopoly is a game that is enjoyed by many people all around the world. But anyways, I think that's where I'm going to end off this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the like button, and don't forget to leave a like on this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to the videos of the day, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell on my other two channels, including Content Walkthroughs, where I do walkthrough videos for you guys, and Dance Plays, where I upload young videos swearing in them. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!